Hi everybody and welcome back to Sandling Junction. This is part 2 of my test track and diorama build, so sit back, I hope you enjoy it. I'll catch you all at the other end. Okay, welcome back on this build. Now I have done the grass, the static grass, a couple of different heights of it, some winter, so it looks like it's been burned by the dirt, the rust, the grime from the trains as it's gone along, a little bit on this bank too. So with that in mind, I want to airbrush the track. Now you could argue that I should have done this at the beginning, and sure, I could have done. I just remember when I did No Name Junction, I didn't do it that way, I did it the way I'm about to do it. And I'm not saying that's the right way, it's just the way that I did it. So with that in mind, I'm going to proceed, but let me just sort of throw it in there that there are umpteen ways that you can do the track. You can paint it with a brush, you can airbrush it, you can do all of that before you lay any ballast, or you can probably do it after, which is what I'm doing here. I'm not saying it's the right way, but it's the way I shall be doing it on this occasion. Whether or not I regret that, I don't know. I will do other diorama type things in the future whereby I will approach this in a very different way. I just decided to do this one in this fashion. Now for the most of it, I'm just going to airbrush, and I'm using some of the colours that are pre-mixed from previous jobs which you've seen, the grime and that I've done on my locos. It's all the same colours, just mix them up, shake them up and get them activated again. The airbrush you can hear is chumping away. There's my airbrush. It is, for those who asked, it is an Aero Pro 300. It's a very old unit now, but I inherited it along with other airbrushes, and yeah, it served me well. And I don't know for sure whether or not up-to-date ones are modelled on this one, but it's a lovely old airbrush. And the little canister I use to blow out in, and then of course this is most important if you are doing any form of dirty work, whether it's cutting foam, hot wire, or indeed airbrushing, anything where there are harmful particulates that can get in the air. This is a must. This is a 3M unit. It works very, very well. It's quite comfortable to use, but as I said, I wouldn't want to airbrush or do anything without it. So if my voice goes quiet, you know it's because I got this on. Anyway, without further ado, I'm going to crack on. Okay, so that's done. All I've got to do afterwards is clean off the top of the track once it's dry. I'm going to let it set up and dry now. That's what I did last time. Now, I'm sure I can do better. I'm sure there are better ways of doing it. And but it's just the way I did it last time, and I thought this is the first time I've done any track weathering since No Name Junction, so I thought I'd have a few practices before I set to on my Code 75, and this seemed to be an ideal thing. Whether or not it's right or wrong, I'm sure there'll be people out there who can send me information or give me their thoughts on it. I'm sure the comments will come in saying I could have done this, I could have done that, and that's fine. That's why I put videos out there, to help others and also to learn from. So with that all in mind, I'm gonna stop rambling for a moment and we'll carry on with the rest of this once it's all dry. Thanks for watching. Catch you all in a minute. Bye. Okay, so what I've done is I've got some very thin dirty solution of acrylic paint, and I just want to go over some of this surface, and it's just going to wet it up a little bit because the surface is very, very porous, and I'm just going to take it back a little bit from the sort of quite stark colour that it is, and then I want to sort of come in and put some sort of foliage on, but I just thought it would take a little bit and just let that very wet paint just run down, find its own way as we go along. It sort of finds cracks and crevices. I'm going over some of the grasses too, which I'm not too worried about. But what I've got here are several boxes. I have a load more. I have tons of this stuff. And what I did is I will have to do another video on it because the first video I did wasn't that good. But what I've done is I've created my own material. This is just standard, anything really, sort of sofa sponge, you know, out of old cushions and such like. Or indeed, when I first did it, I actually got hold of some old, well not old, some actually brand new car sponges. And I just made lots of different colour flocks. This is fine dirt, this is sifted dirt. This is from particles of dust and sawdust and dirt. And that will just go onto bits of track and bits of all sorts of things. Okay, so what I'm going to do is put some little bits of glue down and just suggest where I'm going to put a little bit of foliage, a little bit of that clump that I've got in the boxes, a little bit at a time. Just going to place them there, maybe over some of these areas. They can press down and press in. It's a fun part of this sort of thing, isn't it, when you're building some diorama and you know, sort of putting this stuff on for the to start bringing to the realism of what you're doing. Now, as I say, I am a novice at all this, but I enjoy the process of what's going on. I'm not too worried about covering up all of this because of course it will dry clear. And what I want to do is actually add some lighter colour, which I should have in one of these, just to give it, some of this, a little bit of a highlight. Not too much, just one or two pieces. And give some of the shrubs and bushes probably a little too much. And I will glue this down further with some dropping in some PVA. Like so. One or two bits here, not too much. Just little highlight accents. Fresh growth maybe, or indeed just where the light is catching it. Okay, so to that point I think we're good. Now what I did have, something else that I've made in the past, if I can find them, there we are. These are little grass tufts. Now you can buy these in proprietary packs, and the thing is they're called grass tufts, dots, whatever, but to me they're all exactly the same within reason, but the method they use is the same method that I use, and all you need to do, quite honestly, is either have PVA onto maybe some grease parchment paper, or I use a non-stick metal baking tray, and I just make different shapes. As you can see, these are all different shapes of grass tuff, and then you can actually put whichever one fits the bill, quite honestly. They've got to bring something to the party. It really isn't worth putting them in. I mean, things like that are quite nice. Nice thin long ones that run down through the center of the track. Quite interesting. Add another dynamic to the space. And there are one or two longer pieces that I can use, maybe on the edge here. Now I've got some different coloured flowers basically, and I like these yellow ones because they remind me of gorse. Now it doesn't look like a great big packet, but there's an awful lot in here for the job and you don't need too much of it. So I'm just going to tip a little bit into my hand. You can always come back for some more and just literally sprinkle them over. Looks like, you know, gorse or maybe tempt myself to see a little bit of this red just popped out in there. I'm just going to sprinkle that over that area there. One or two other nice areas to suggest that there's a little bit of something, a bit of colour here and there. Doesn't want too much. Which is a lovely little plant, although these would be completely out of scale for that. It's interesting. Okay, now I do want to try and put in a couple of trees, small bushes. This is just I think this stuff is a packet of seafoam trees that I purchased from Woodland Scenics. This is just what's left of them. So I'm just going to put a little hole to one of these areas here, like so, and put some tacky glue into that, and a bit on there just to double make sure that I've got it about right. And let's put that in the hole. Okay. Piece. Now this is something that I think I made, so I shall use this. And let's put it there. Make a little hole. Fill that hole and just put some on here. Push that home. Okay. Not sure if that works actually. I don't think it really does that well. So let's just take it and halve it. Let's just put that in there like so. I didn't do that too well, did I? Never mind. Like I said, this stuff is quite fragile anyway, so let's just put it into that like so. Not working. That's not going to happen, that one. I don't think. It doesn't. It's all sort of broken up, so maybe a little weed, I don't know. It's all a learning curve, as I said earlier. Now these are actually some bushes that I made going back a little while off of No Name Junction. I pulled them up and brought them across to this station. Now what these are, it's gorsey bushes that I created, but I made these out of sisal, out of string. So I'm just going to tear this one in half, and I'm just going to make it look and put it on a part of this layout, and then I will probably sprinkle a little extra in terms of yellow flowers over it, because I think it's quite a nice looking little shrub or gorsey bush thing. I do have quite a few of them, which I did keep back. I'm not going to use them all, but I'm just going to use little bits of them. They're easy to make, and I will do another video on that at some point. I'm just going to suggest and maybe a couple through the front here. Low growing. Get that bit of glue there, and let's put that here. It might be just a bit too big for the area, so I'm just going to stick that there. I can always trim off anything that's too close to a loco moving past at some point in the future. But there you go. I think as regards the scenery side of it, it is done. I will now just put some scenic spray over the whole of it just to seal it all off. And hopefully once everything is dry and gone clear, it won't notice. And yeah, one or two little bits to put on, and also I want to put in a little bit of a back scene on this part of it here, so that will just make it a little higher, but it will then protect these trees. And well, anyway, I'll put it out there and you can comment on it and tell me what you think, and I'll put a train on it and run it up and down as a final little piece on this video. Now, whether or not it's already too long to be one, whether I put this out as two, I do not know, but time will tell. Okay, enough of that for now. Catch you all very, very soon. Thanks for watching. I hope you've got something from it anyway, and I'll conclude very shortly. Bye-bye for now. Okay, welcome back, and this is almost dry. I've been playing around with a bit of rusted on a bit of old track, and I'm just sort of playing around with that, and I've given it 2 coats to see what I think about it. And as a sense, it looks great as rust, and I might just do a little bit of weathering powder on it just to finish it off before I decide exactly where it's going to go on the track. Okay, welcome back. I just wanted to add in a little clip. Now the glue has dried on this pretty much. I just wanted to run through and show you sort of not quite the final effect. There's 1 or 2 little things I want to add to this before it's finished, and then I can just do a little extra clip showing you all of that, and maybe a train in place and on track, and give you the final effect and my final thoughts on it. So yeah, hopefully you can see what's going on and what's happened, and I hope you like it. And if you've got any thoughts, as usual, put them in the comment section. I've also increased, as you say, I've done the buffer stops, and I actually, because they're permanent, I've super glued those in place, so they hopefully will not come off in any shape or form in the future. Hi everybody, I hope you enjoyed that. I did hope that this would only be a 2-parter, but I did think of so many other things I wanted to do to this diorama, having finished filming it on this part of it, that it's had to go into 3 parts. So I'm working on that now. Hopefully it won't be too long in coming, and you'll enjoy the final part. And it will be a bit of a longer one, I'm sure, because I actually did cram quite a bit more in. So you'll enjoy it, I hope, and get something from it. And also coming up shortly is a new series on the building of my mimic panels for Sandling Junction. Not all of them, certainly the first one, which was Ashford, and a little insight into that. So watch out for that coming up very, very soon. Also wanted to say that as far as updates for Sandling go, I'm not stopped doing them. It's just that I don't really want to do one when there's not a lot to say. I'm really conscious of the fact that I've been doing a lot of talking in recent ones and not a lot of doing, and I'm sort of throttling back a little bit. So I really want to do updates for the layout as and when there really is something useful to say and something that I'm sure you'll enjoy. So on that score, look out for part 3 of this build, also part 1 of the mimic panel build, and maybe a little update either at the end of January or early February. Enjoyed this, hope you have too. Catch you all soon, and if you're not already, thumbs up and sharing and liking and all that stuff, subscribe too. Catch you all very, very soon. Bye bye for now.